So I just watched straight out of nowhere. Courage. No, other way around. Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog. And this one, this kind of returns to going to the absolute mental plots that some of the, mid 2010 Scooby-Doo films did. So, yeah, I'm going to be spoiling this, so that just a warning, there's going to be spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen this film, then yeah, I'm going to be spoiling it. So, Scooby Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now, this one I was worried about. To be honest, I expected it to be shite, but it's not. But my god, there are so many little things just holding it back. Like, for example, something I've been complaining about for a long time with Scooby Doo direct to video movies is how their age demographic seems to be aiming younger and younger with each film. For example, at the start of this one, it starts, with the gang wrapping up a mystery, and literally Shaggy and Scooby start doing selfies. No joke, they start pulling faces and doing selfies with a guy in a clown costume because, an app told them to. Because they're trying to use this app, to try and not, be chickens or scaredy cats. It's just stuff like that. And then Eustace, at one point in this film, does a rap. Like, there's literally a Eustace rap music video towards the end of this film. Like, stuff like that just makes me go, oh, God, no. And there's other stupid stuff as well. And also, just like a lot of the Scooby-Doo direct-to-video films recently, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make any fucking sense in terms of the plot. So, let's have a quick rundown of it. So, the whole, obviously, gimmick of this film is this is not only, a Scooby-Doo crossover, but also this is the first Courage the Cowardly Dog anything really since I think it was that CGI short that probably came out nearly a decade ago. So, yeah, a bit odd. But the thing is, the two shows weirdly can fit pretty well together, but not this Scooby Doo. This crossover would have actually made more sense if they'd done it back in the early days. For example, Zombie Island through, I guess, to Cyber Chase. That sort of darker Scooby Doo. But this unfortunately, doesn't do that. I will say though, it is nice. It is nice to actually see, this one actually have some much better lighting, and scenes that do take place at night are actually darker. I know, they actually have darker backgrounds and everything, which is quite nice. Because what they've been doing previously is just adding a blue filter over everything to, make it suggest that it's night, which, yeah, it just doesn't really work, and it mitigates that sort of creep factor to it. So anyway, Scooby and Courage start hearing this noise, which is basically the dun 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 from the Courage the Cowardly Dog series, and it makes them act in a really weird way where they do this really weird sort of dance. And for some reasons, this makes Scooby run all the way into the middle of nowhere. And yeah, they get into the crossover elements pretty quickly, like within the first, 10 minutes, it all happens. So yeah, that it's just like, okay, it's now crossover time. And the monster slash monsters for this one are these insect creatures, which do very much fit the Courage the Cowardly Dog, aesthetic. And in fact, they look fairly similar to stuff that was actually in the show at the time. So yeah, and also here's the thing, jumping ahead a bit, these bug creatures, the smaller ones, which you see throughout the film, like the swarms of them and that, which are still fairly large, yeah, they're actually real. Yeah, they are. It's not even a hint or ooh, maybe. No, 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 they are real. Which is nice to finally fucking have. I mean, it's not in a big way, but it's nice to have at least some sort, of monster, I guess, that is actually real again, but they do, they just kind of brush it off, just like, oh, they're just big bugs, they're just oversized bugs. But the main, bug, or the queen bug, which is again about 8 feet tall, I think is the description of it. That one, yeah, we're not getting that with that one because obviously it's got to be a Scooby-Doo mystery. The problem is the mystery doesn't really make, that much kind of sense, and that the clues to it, there's no real actual clues. There are clues to what's going on, but there aren't really any clues to suspects because the suspect clues are just Easter eggs. Like, I just don't know why. So, for some reason, while the gang are at Huskus and Muriel's house in the middle of nowhere, they get a letter from the mayor of nowhere inviting them to dinner, which they do. And also, there's another unexplained thing where the chairs, for some reason, come to life and have teeth and eyes and are trying to, eat the gang. That is never explained. That is never explained in any shape or form. That is something weird that just happens and it is never explained. Which will be fine in Courage the Cowardly Dog, but in this, it's just like, it's weird to have it in a modern Scooby-Doo thing, where, because they normally try to like to explain absolutely everything and make it so there isn't any supernatural stuff, which is just like, I kind of like it where it kind of borders the line on it. But I'm going to skip ahead for a bit because this thing does feel like it is a bit padded out. Because there are chases and gags that go on and on for so long. Like, there's no joke, I think it's nearly a 3-minute gag of Shaggy and Scooby and Courage dressing up in costumes to basically fool the monster, and it literally just drags on and on to try and fill its runtime. And this film isn't even very long, it's only 78 minutes. And, about 5 of that is credits anyway. But also the chase music, like the actual, background music for this one is actually pretty good. It is pretty fitting for it because it feels, a lot more, I guess, spooky and dark. It reminds me, again, a lot of Courage the Cowardly Dog, but also reminds me again of some of the music that was used in Scooby-Doo, through, I guess, throughout, 1969 all the way up until like the mid to late 2000s, and then the 2010s they started using crap generic music, whereas this one was pretty good. But then the actual chase song, because there is a chase song for this one, and just like all the other ones that they're doing now, it is terrible. And it doesn't fit the tone either. There's a really creepy scene that basically you see all of the gang and Muriel as silhouettes, and you see them literally hanging from webs from the ceiling. And the whole time I was watching, I was thinking how much better it would be if, rather than just playing this really goofy, awful, it is really awful music, how much it would be if either it was, just the creepy music we're being having throughout. Because that would have made so much more of an impact than what it did. But Warner Brothers seems to basically think that, Scooby Doo is for 5 and under now, and I'm not even joking. Some of this stuff, it just seems a lot of the time just like the script and everything is just like it's working really well, and I'm enjoying it, and then suddenly we get this thing that feels like, oh, it's forced in, because of course it's just like the overly happy, upbeat chase music thing, because that is shoved in there. It's not quite as bad as Return to Zombie Islands one, but it still is pretty bad. It's just like, it's things like that. It's just like shoved in there, and ugh, just so many things in here that because I do enjoy it for the most part, like the creepy backgrounds, and also just like the weird. I do kind of like the kind of just weird, more unexplained stuff. But this, I don't know. The thing about this is, it does feel like it is stretching it out. It is struggling to meet that feature length. But anyway, on with the plot. So it turns out that there is a meteorite underneath Muriel and Huskus's house, which apparently was the meteorite that fell to Earth that killed dinosaurs. And that is the thing that is causing Scooby and Courage, to act, dance to it and act really weird to the dun 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 dun, and which is apparently causing all the weird shit to happen. Yeah, I told you this plot gets a bit weird and a bit out there. I mean, the whole time I was thinking that, oh god, how are they going to justify it? Because if this was any other movie, if this was any other, modern Scooby-Doo movie, they would come up with an explanation for it. No matter how stupid and ridiculous, they would come up with a real-world explanation. They don't in this one. Yeah. Excuse me. Thanks to its Courage the Cowardly Dog connection, that meteorite, it's a meteorite, and it does weird shit. It has the ability to control people, literally manipulate reality itself. Because at one point, the gang gets turned into, for some reason, various sea creatures. And also Daphne gets turned into an 8-bit character. Yeah. I was just like, okay, just like mental, but it was still enjoyable to do. And the weird thing is, Courage is actually the one to defeat the monster in this one. Yeah, and Courage alone defeats the monster in this one. Scooby doesn't. Yeah, which it kind of feels like the writer who wrote this just like kind of had more of a Courage bias than a Scooby-Doo bias to this one. And the Scooby-Doo tropes and stuff kind of feel like Warner Brothers just kind of, battered down the hatch and just went, you have to have these in there. So it kind of just feels like, this was like the only way to get any new Courage content out there, which, if that is the case, then yeah, it was pretty enjoyable for that regard. And we do get a pretty nice, sequence of Courage basically fighting this bug monster. But then there's the unmasking. And of course, it's the mayor. Of course it's the mayor. But then there's a second unmasking after that. Where it turns out it's cats. It's cats and Lip. And I can't say his name, so I'll just call him Lit. Because I can't say his name because it gives me a tongue twister every time. So just key Cax and his very French duck friend. There we go. So yeah, the problem is there was no hint to this on who it could be. That is the problem with the mystery in this. Just like, there's no real way you could know it was them. It's just like, oh, it's them. Okay. Like Velma claims that, oh, it's because, there was a hint to this, but even she said it doesn't make sense because it doesn't. And they even try to unmask Cax at the end. And literally just like, oh god, here we go. You literally have a talking dog yourself. Just like, and you can't accept that, that, oh, there's a talking cat. No. But okay. But it was nice to it was nice particularly to have cats back. There's also a few other Courage references, like for example, Freaky Freg's pops up in the background a few times because there's a few pictures of him around there. So, there's a few little nice little references there, but yeah, the unmasking is just there just because, there has to be an unmasking. But even so, just like, okay. And why do they do this? Well, so they can hypnotize people to get rich. I mean, it just seems a bit low for cats, to be honest. It's like, you literally have control of this meteorite that can literally manipulate reality itself, and you're just going to use it to get rich. Just like, that does not sound like a cat's thing. Just like, okay, though, okay. And then it literally hangs at a dance party at the end. It literally does. This film, God, it's all over the place. Because I would say this film, I'd say about 70% of it I really did enjoy. But that 30%, it just really annoys me. Like, for example, the pacing, it does drag a bit, but I can live with that for the most part. But the things that where it just does the modern Scooby-Doo tropes where it feels like, it's just got to downplay everything, and it just can't. It just doesn't have like the nuance that it had beforehand. And despite, feeling like things are dragging out, like the mystery to this is just like practically non-existent. It isn't really a mystery, just stuff is revealed. There isn't actually really a mystery to it, it's just stuff is revealed as time goes on, which is kind of cheating, really, because it's kind of going, it's haha, you didn't notice this thing that we didn't show or tell you. So, yeah, I will say though, this is definitely the best one we've had in a long time. Admittedly, that is not a very high bar, but it is definitely the best I've had in at least a good few years. A good few years. So I would recommend it on that regards. But my God, the Scooby Doo direct to video films. I've said this before, and I'll say it again probably. They really need an overhaul. They really do need an overhaul. And I'm not just talking about the look or design. No, 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 no. Like, they need to really go back to square one on with these and, do what they did back in 2010 and, just do something a bit more fresh, a bit more interesting because, God almighty, these are really starting, to feel like they can't really fit the runtime and they don't have enough to fill. Because at this point, they're just kind of running out of ideas. Like, there's an entire Scooby-Doo TV series called Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, which, again, is, a rehash on the new Scooby-Doo mysteries where they'd have a guest. But it's just like, at this point, it's just like, I don't know. That it just feels like, this film is being fought every step of the way. Like, I can see a good Scooby Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog film in there. There is a really good one in there. The problem is it constantly feels like it's being hampered at every stage because Warner Brothers, just like, oh no 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 no, it's got to tick these boxes, it's got to be made for under 5-year-olds. Essentially, it's got to have an unmasking at the end. So it's got to have this. It's got to have that. It's just like, it literally does, scream studio interference in the end. That is what this film really does scream. A load of studio interference. Which is a shame because it does so much, it does a lot of things right. It does a lot of things right. But it's holding itself, it's being held back at the same time. So yeah, if you were expecting anything, if you were expecting a dramatic improvement over the last few direct-to-video films, no, it is definitely an improvement, but it's still, mediocre at best. It is still mediocre at best. So yeah, overall, that is my thoughts on watching Straight Out of Nowhere, Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.